When I made a video comparing where I could build a better beginning board game collection for the best price, Walmart or Chapters, I wasn't completely satisfied with the final collections. So I strolled over to Mind Games to see if I could put together a better collection, one that I'd be proud of. And their games are certainly much better. But the question is, how does it compare on price? I'll answer this question today here on Legendary Tactics. To keep this comparison fair, I'm going to use the same 10 categories at Mind Games as I used at Walmart and Chapters. The link to that video is in the top right corner of your screen, but you can watch the videos in any order. All the games are listed in Canadian dollars. And by the way, if you're enjoying the content, just before we get started here, please encourage us to continue doing this by liking and subscribing. Here we go. Number 1, the classic game. First, I like that this store has a whole section dedicated to classic games. But the more I look at all of these, the more I just want to buy a nice classic wooden chess set. It's beautiful. There's lots of options to choose from here. It's the most classic of all games, and I want a board game collection that I'm proud of. It costs $69.99 for a solid looking board. You could go to $129.99 for a much better looking board, but for the purposes of this video, I'll just go with the $69.99. Number 2, Appetizer games. Mind Games has so many great Appetizer games to choose from. These are quick playing games that have wide appeal before you get to your main entree. I took code names at both Walmart and Chapters, but here I'm going with one of my all-time favorites, Coup. It's portable, fun with any group of players, and I still don't find it getting old. Although it is priced ridiculously high at $44.99. But be sure to get Reformation too, that's $14.99. The Inquisitor role balances the game nicely. And despite the absurd price, I still really love this game. On to number 3, kids games. There's a whole bunch of games at this store that are worth looking at. Sleeping Queens, Apple to Apples, Marvel, Forbidden Sky. It's a cool circuit building game, but it doesn't get to the table enough for my taste. King of Tokyo is awesome if you've got kids who can read. Villainous is a great choice. Sushi Go, that's another great option. But ultimately, I'm going with the one my kids like playing the best, Betrayal at House on the Hill. You've got a choice. There's actually 3 Betrayal games here, the Scooby-Doo version, the traditional Betrayal, and Betrayal Legacy. But my kids prefer the full version of the game to the Scooby-Doo game. It's going for $59.99. Incidentally, I got my copy at Value Village for $7. On to number 4, the family game. The contenders here for the family game are Sheriff of Nottingham, Dixit, the Carcassonne Big Box, and Ticket to Ride. But ultimately, I'm going with Splendor here. You can get the Marvel edition for an extra $20, but I don't really need that. So the only limitation of this game is the player count at 4. That's your maximum, but otherwise it's a gem of a game that will cost you $46.50. Number 5, a card game. Some of the picks on this list are much harder than others, but the card-based game is super easy. I would take home Wingspan without a doubt, hands down. It's an engine builder with a surprisingly engaging theme. It's beautifully designed and the components are gorgeous. It's going for $89. It's really hard to find awesome dexterity games, but everything at Mind Games is bigger and better than at Walmart and Chapters. Take the Jumbo Giant Jenga, for instance, but I'm still not taking that home. I mean, what do we have? The Family Fishing Game, Pie in the Face. It's a silly game, and it's kind of stupid. You don't really need the game to do that. And ultimately, though, this store has the game I really, really want for dexterity. That's Crokinole. It's pretty reasonably priced at $79.99 for this quality of board. You can get wooden boards, which are much nicer, but for what we're being offered here, this is a decent price. It's worth every penny. Number 7, strategy games. Again, a huge wall full of strategy games. I absolutely love the game Root, but I actually prefer playing the digital edition of the game to enforce all the asymmetrical rules. Scythe and Tapestry are a couple more Stonemaier games that are certainly contenders. Of course, there's Catan, but I think I need to go with Terraforming Mars for this slot. It can be played solo, it really appeals to the imagination, and it's the consummate space game. You've certainly got a lot of choices in this game, and it will cost you $89.99. If you think I'm completely botching my picks here, please be sure to let me know what games I should have taken in the comments. Number 8, the party game. There's certainly a lot more choice in the party game category at Mind Games than there was at either Walmart or Chapters. I briefly considered Werewolf. Codenames After Dark is another great option if you're going for an adult crowd, but I find the adult games get old really fast when you make just silly, dirty jokes. So Secret Hitler briefly crossed my mind too, but thematically some people might be offended by that. The employees at this store swore by Trial by Trolley. It's a fun trolley card dilemma game. Really cute cards, and it's really replayable. Cards Against Humanity is a lot of fun, but it gets old really fast even with all the expansions. One I still really enjoy is the social deduction game Avalon, but I think we can do better. I'm going to choose Codenames. Tons of selection at this store. It's pretty cheap at $19.99, and interestingly, this is the only game that I chose in all 3 of my starter collection lists. Number 9, the heavy game. I like having multiple strategy games in my board game collection, so that's why I added this category here. Dune is a great choice for a heavier game, but there's another that's certainly better, and that's Gloomhaven. It'll provide years of playing, plenty of surprises, clever game mechanics, and lots of fun. But you're going to need to take a loan out to buy this one. It's $249.99. On to number 10, the cooperative game. Mind Games has lots of options for cooperative games. Dark Souls, the board game, Jaws the Lion, those are great options. Betrayal Legacy would be a great choice, but I've already got that one in this collection in its original form. So I'm going to go with Pandemic Legacy Season 0. It'll cost me $109.99, but Season 1 was so memorable, and I really enjoyed that experience. So getting Season 0, I think, would be a great preface to that. So a few other considerations too that don't actually matter to me but might matter to you is that Mind Games is organized really well, the store is. They have a wealth of choice, the display looks really nice, and also the employees offer great suggestions, and they even have a staff picks section. Now let's move on to the price comparison. The grand total for games at this store is $865.41. All of these prices are without tax, by the way. If I put this collection up against my picks from Walmart and Chapters, wow. I like every single game in every category better at Mind Games than at the other 2 stores. So that's fairly telling. But I'll be paying $506 more than my Walmart collection and $365.62 more than my Chapters collection. So which collection would you choose? For me, I like this Mind Games collection a lot better despite the cost. But I'd love to hear what your Mind Games collection would look like in the comments. So as you can see, I left so many great games on the shelf at Mind Games. Clearly, whoever's selecting their stock knows board games. They've got every kind of game you could want. In retrospect, I think I should have added a couple categories. One for solo games, and if I'd done that, I would be taking Scythe home. And I should have also added a dice game category. Dice Forge would be the pick there. Thanks so much for your time, and if you haven't seen the Walmart Chapters video, here are the links.